Look, I don't talk about this. Not to my wife, not to the guys I fish with on Saturdays, not to the department shrink they made me see twice a year. But you asked about Ranch Road 1431, and you got that look on your face like you already heard something. So, fine. Sit down. Coffee's on me. Summer of '97. I was working graveyard out of the Marble Falls sub-office for DPS Highway Patrol, badge 4471. 28 years I wore that tin, and I was good at it. Meticulous, they said in my reviews, like that was a compliment instead of just meaning I couldn't let anything slide. I wrote more citations than any trooper in the district 3 years running. Procedure was scripture. What I could see, touch, measure, that was real. Everything else was paperwork. RR 1431 was my road. 41 miles of two-lane blacktop winding through limestone cuts and cedar scrub between Marble Falls and Cedar Park. No streetlights, no shoulders worth the name, just white center dashes disappearing around blind curves and the hill country pressing in tight from both sides like it wanted the road back. Summers, the asphalt got so hot you could smell it at midnight, tar and dust and something underneath, something old, like the limestone itself was sweating. I knew every curve, every dip, every deer crossing. Knew where the college kids from UT would flip their daddy's truck trying to take the S-curve past mile marker 9. Knew where the drunks leaving the Bluebonnet Bar would drift across the center line. Knew the stretch near the old limestone bluff that locals called Dead Man's Turn. A tight bend where the original road used to run straight into the rock face before TXDOT rerouted it in the 80s. You could still see where the old pavement crumbled into gravel and just stopped, right at the wall. That night, July 19th, a Saturday, I was parked at the Conoco station just south of the Pedernales River crossing, filling my thermos from the pot they left out for us. 94 degrees at quarter to midnight. Cicadas so loud they vibrated in your chest. My uniform was soaked through before I got the lid screwed on. Radio was quiet. Dispatch sounded half asleep. The whole county felt like it was holding its breath. I pulled back onto 1431, headed east, and settled into the routine. Windows cracked because the AC in those Crown Vics was a suggestion, not a system. Scanning for taillights, for swerving, for deer eyes glowing green in the headlights. Nothing. An armadillo crossing near mile marker 6. A possum already dead on the shoulder. The usual. 12:47 a.m. I remember because I just looked at the clock thinking about how slow the night was moving. Headlights in my rear view. Coming up fast. Real fast. I watched them close the gap in maybe 4 seconds, and then the car blew past me like I was parked. White. Four-door sedan. No plates I could see. Had to be doing 100, maybe more. But here's the thing that got me before anything else. No sound. A car doing 100 plus on rough blacktop. You hear it. You hear the engine screaming. You hear the tires tearing at the road. You feel the displaced air rock your cruiser. Physics. Basic physics. I've pulled over 10,000 vehicles and I know what speed sounds like. This car passed me like a whisper, like something sliding through water. Just the headlights swelling in the mirror, a blur of white, and then taillights pulling away into the dark. Silent. I hit the lights, hit the siren, mashed the accelerator, and the Crown Vic lurched forward, engine whining up through the gears. 70, 80. The road was narrow and the curves were coming, and I had both hands on the wheel, leaning forward like that would help. The white sedan was ahead of me, not slowing down, not speeding up, not reacting to the lights or the siren at all, just maintaining, like it was on rails, like the road was straight and flat and I was the only one dealing with curves. I keyed the radio. Dispatch 4471. I'm in pursuit of a white four-door sedan, eastbound on 1431, speed in excess of 100. Static. Then, copy, 4471. Do you have plates? Negative. No plates visible. Vehicle is not responding to lights or siren. I was doing 90 now, and the gap wasn't closing. The sedan's taillights burned red ahead of me, steady, unblinking, round. I noticed that, round taillights, chrome-rimmed, not modern. That detail lodged in my brain like a splinter, but I didn't have time to think about it. I had a pursuit to run. The curves on 1431 are no joke. I'd worked wrecks on that road where people died doing 50, missed a turn, hit a cedar tree, rolled down into a creek bed. The speed limit through the worst stretch is 35, and that's generous. I've seen seasoned drivers white-knuckle it in broad daylight. This sedan was doing over 100, through hairpins, in the dark. And it wasn't fighting the road. That's what I can't explain even now, sitting here 20-some years later. A car at that speed on those curves, you'd see brake lights flashing, you'd hear tires howling, you'd see the body lean, the suspension compress, the whole vehicle struggling against centrifugal force. Basic mechanics, inescapable. The white sedan took every curve like the road was straight. No brake lights, not once, no tire noise, no lean. It just flowed, like the road bent for it instead of the other way around. I was trained in pursuit driving, done the courses at the academy, driven the skid pad, practiced pit maneuvers. I was good, and I could barely hold 90 on those curves. My tires were screaming, sweat was rolling into my eyes. The sedan was pulling away. I grabbed the radar gun off the mount, pointed it through the windshield, pulled the trigger. 0, not an error code, not a dash or a blank screen. 0, like the car wasn't there, like I was clocking empty road. I tried again. 0, tried a third time. 0. The gun worked fine. I tested it on a road sign as it passed. 67 miles per hour relative. Normal reading, but pointed at the sedan. Nothing. 0 velocity. 0 existence. That's when the taillights started bothering me for real. Round, split lens, chrome bezels catching my headlights in little starbursts. I've been looking at the back ends of cars my entire adult life. I know taillight designs the way a birdwatcher knows wing patterns. Those lights hadn't been on a production vehicle since before I was born, probably. Late 60s, early 70s at the latest. I keyed the radio again. Dispatch 4471, pursuit continuing eastbound 1431. Radar is malfunctioning, unable to get a speed reading. Vehicle appears to be a late model. I stopped. It wasn't late model. Correction. Vehicle appears to be an older model sedan. White. Rounded tail lamps. Possibly late 1960s. Dispatch came back 4471. Can you repeat the vehicle description? White four-door, round taillights. Looks old. I mean, it looks like it just rolled off the lot in 1968. Silence on the radio. Then, copy 4471. That's when I noticed the odometer. I'd been in pursuit 8 minutes, 13 miles minimum at those speeds. But the odometer hadn't moved. Same reading as when I'd left the Conoco. I tapped the dash. Nothing. And then the landmarks went wrong. I passed the Pedernales River crossing. The bridge with the narrow railings. Fine. Then the cedar post fence at the Whitaker Ranch. 2 miles past the river. Fine. But then I passed the Pedernales crossing again. Same bridge, same railings. I told myself I miscounted. Easy to do at night, at speed, when you're focused on a target. Bridges look alike, fences look alike. I was wrong. I had to be wrong. But the cedar post fence came again, and the bridge came a third time, and the white sedan was still ahead of me. Round taillights burning steady in the dark, not gaining, not losing, just there. Like it had always been there. Like it would always be there. My mouth tasted like copper. My hands had stopped sweating. They were cold now, cold in 94-degree heat. And that scared me more than anything because my body knew something my brain hadn't caught up to. The road was looping, or I was. Or something about the space between me and that car had stopped following the rules. I should have broken off. Protocol says you can disengage if conditions become unsafe. Every pursuit manual says the same thing. If the risk outweighs the reason, let them go. But I couldn't. My foot wouldn't lift off the accelerator. Not bravery. I want to be real clear about that. Somewhere in the back of my skull, in the part that still thought in terms of evidence and procedure, I needed to see where this car was going, so I kept driving, and the road ahead straightened out. One long stretch of old pavement I shouldn't have been on. The original alignment of 1431, the part TX closed off in 83, the part that ran straight into the limestone bluff. Dead man's turn, except there was no turn anymore, just road and rock, and the white sedan heading straight for it, no brake lights. The sedan didn't slow down, didn't swerve, didn't do anything a car driven by a living person would do when a wall of solid rock filled the windshield. It just drove, straight and steady, those round taillights burning red and calm like eyes that knew exactly where they were going. I stomped the brake, both feet. The Crown Vic's tires locked and I slid sideways on crumbling asphalt, gravel spraying. I stopped maybe 30 feet from the bluff face. Silence. Dead silence. No impact. No crunch of metal. No glass. No fireball. The cicadas had stopped. I sat with my hands locked on the wheel, chest heaving, staring at the rock face. The road was empty. The sedan was gone. Not wrecked. Not hidden. Gone. Like it had never been there. I looked at the clock. 12:51 a.m. 4 minutes. The entire pursuit. The curves, the radar, the bridge 3 times. 4 minutes. I got out, legs shaking, drew my flashlight and walked toward the bluff. The beam cut through dust that shouldn't have been there. No car, but dust hanging in the air like something had just passed through. I put the light on the limestone, white paint. Transfer scratches on the rock face. Long gouges where something had scraped across at speed. But the edges were soft, rounded by weather, and in the deepest groove I leaned in close. There was lichen, green-gray lichen growing in the scratch marks. Decades of it. That paint had been there since before I pinned on my badge. I stood there until my flashlight beam started shaking. My whole body was trembling. I walked back to the cruiser on legs that felt borrowed. Got in, locked the doors, which I never do. Reached for the dashcam controls. I rewound the tape, watched it on the little monitor mounted to the dash. There I was, pulling out of the Conoco, driving east on 1431, hitting my lights and siren at 12:47. Accelerating, driving fast, real fast, through the curves of 1431, headlights sweeping across cedar and limestone. Alone. There was no white sedan on the tape. Not a flash of it. 7 minutes of footage showing me doing 90 plus on a dark road by myself, lights and siren blaring, mouth moving on camera, but no audio going out. Dead air. I called dispatch, asked them to check the log for my pursuit calls. 4471, we show no transmissions from your unit since your 10-8 at 2340. You doing okay out there? No transmissions, no pursuit, no record of any of it. I drove back west on 1431. The odometer worked, the landmarks came in order, the bridge crossed once and stayed crossed. Everything was normal, and that was the worst part because normal felt like a lie now. I finished the shift, wrote nothing in my log, went home, sat in the driveway until the sun came up. 3 weeks later, I drove to the Williamson County Records Office. Told the clerk I was researching old accident reports. She pulled the file. TX. Incident Report, September 14, 1969. Single vehicle at the terminus of Ranch Road 1431, the original alignment. A white 1968 Pontiac LeMans struck the limestone bluff at high speed. Vehicle recovered. Driver never found. Car was empty. Doors locked from inside. No blood, no tissue, no sign anyone had been in it. The registered owner's name was Raymond A. Garza. My name is Raymond M. Garza. Same last name, same first name. And his date of birth was September 3rd, 1941. Mine is September 3rd, 1969, 28 years apart, exactly. I put the file back, thanked the clerk, walked out to the parking lot, and sat in my truck for a long time. I requested a desk transfer the following Monday, worked records and warrants until I put in my papers in 2004. Never drove 1431 at night again. My wife asked me once why I keep the old Stetson on the coat rack but won't wear it. I told her it didn't fit anymore. The truth is, it smells like limestone dust and hot asphalt and something underneath. Something old. Something that's been waiting on that road a lot longer than I've been alive. Some nights I still dream I'm driving. Eastbound, fast, round taillights ahead of me in the dark, steady and red and patient.